Welcome back to Gilbert's Repairs. Today I've got a problem with the 2010 Jeep Patriot. It's got the 2-litre TDI engine fitted, the Volkswagen engine, and I've had the oil light come on whilst driving. I pulled over right away, turned the engine off, so I don't think there's any internal damage to the engine. I suspect the drive to the oil pump, so that's where I'm going to look first. That's my first port of call. So I'll take you along for the journey. We'll open it up and see what we find. If you found it useful today and it's given you the confidence to carry out the task on your own car yourself, could you please like, subscribe and to share. Right, let's get on with it. Well, the first things we do, pop off the engine cover, get rid of that, get that out of the way, put that to one side, and that exposes the oil filter housing down here and where we can refill. So I'll undo the cap now, so that when we drain the oil it allows air in to allow the oil out. Right, next thing, we'll get down below and we'll drain the oil out. Right, so down under the front of the car now, we have to move this big tray in order to drop the oil out from under the car. There's no hole in it, that's just a securing bolt. There's about 6 or 7 10mm bolts, 6mm threads, 10mm heads. Right, so let's drain the oil out of the sump so that we can remove the sump to examine the oil pump or the drive. So it's a 19mm spanner, give them a crack, and then we'll get our washing off bowl. Okay, I've got my bowl, and we'll just spin this one off by hand. Get ready for it to come out everywhere. So here we go, get ready for the money shot. There he goes. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes now, the oil draining. It's essential that you put the sump plug back in now. Don't forget it, or else you'll be pouring brand new oil in the engine and it'll be running out the bottom. So do it now while you're here. That's what you can expect to see. It's effectively, it's just a bolt, that's all. But it's a sump plug. I'm not sure if this one's magnetic. There was no particles on the end of the plug. Some of them are magnetic and you may get metal deposits from engine wear sticking on there. So if you see that, take some advice. Seek some advice and see if you've got any engine wear. Right, we'll put the sump plug back in. We'll tighten him up. That's him tight. Okay, so to remove the sump, it looks like we've got these bolts all the way around, the securing bolts, and they just go all the way around the perimeter. Now the only thing that's different is you've got this bolt here that attaches it to the bell housing, the sump, and that bolt there attaches it to the bell housing. And then when you come around the other side, there's a bolt there, that one passes through the bell housing and comes out in the sump there. So that's attached to the sump. So there's 3 large bolts, a ring of bolts all the way around the flange, and then the other ones that you need to know about is there are 3 up in there. So there's 1 up there, 1 up there, and 1 up in there. So those holes have been created especially for the sump securing bolts. Right, we'll start removing. Okay, so I'm going to attempt these awkward ones first. I'm going to try and get the hard stuff out of the way first. What I've got is a 5mm hex Allen key, but he's got a ball on the end so that I can get a bit of an angle, so I can get a bit of movement on him. It's a 5mm, so I can't show this on. So there's 1 up there, 1 up there, 1 up there. Oh, there's another one, there's 4. So there's 4 along that flange. So I'll get up there. Right, I'm in the hex. I don't know what your lighting's like. But I'm up through that hole into the hex. Oh, he's tight. So they're cracked up tight. So that's one slackened off. Get into the next one. Oh, he's at an angle. Next one there. Oh, yes. Yeah, got in. That's number 2. And then number 3. Oh, he's not going in nicely. We'll give him a little. Oh yeah, that feels home. That's in. If you round this bolt head off, if you round off these bolt heads, you're going to be in a world of pain. Well, not you, me. So, and then the last one. He's in line. Oh yeah, he's gone right into the head of the bolt there. So that's it. So they're all cracked off. They're the difficult ones. I'll just spin them out now, put it on time lapse, I'll speed it up. Right, the next thing, I've got them out successfully in there with that rounded hex socket. You do need something that you can jiggle about in there. Something like a bit of jiggery pokery that you can get some alignment on, because they are misaligned with the hose. So next thing, I'm going to undo those side bolts there. What size is that? 15mm. 15mm spanner. So we'll spin them out. It's coming out nicely by hand for some reason. I wonder if someone's been here before. So this will be a long bolt that passes through the bell housing and the sump. There he is. So that's the nice long one, look. Decent length bolt there. And then we've got the 2 on the other side, the shorter bolts. So the 2 this side are the shorter ones, look, there's the long and there's the short. So now we've got them out. We've got the 3 large ones there, the 4 that are hidden, they're stashed away in there. Now it's just easily accessible bolts all the way around. Oh, there's an intercooler pipe. It looks like he's held on there. I'll take you off the stand and show you. So here's all the fixing bolts around the front of the sump that I didn't show earlier. And look, there's that intercooler. It's just a bracket, it's nothing special. So you just undo that one to release it from the sump. So that's it. We can just get around now and undo all the ones around the outside. Right, before I go fully around the ring of bolts, I've just got to disconnect this. I'm taking it, it's oil pressure switch or oil switch or whatever. And then we just pull them out of the loom clips there. So that'll stay with the vehicle now. So we're actually ready to crack off the rest of them bolts all the way around the sump. Okay, so that's the ones around the back and around the side. Just go around the front of the sump now. Okay, so I think I've undone all of the securing bolts around the perimeter of the sump, and I've undone the big ones and the ones that are tucked away. So we'll see if we can get any movement on it. I'll probably have to get a pry bar and just to prise in and give it a little jimmy, a little wiggle out. Right, I've got my pry bar. Let's have a go at prising this off. So there's a big bracket there. I'm going to go in between there. Oh yeah, we got a bit of movement. You can hear the sealant cracking away. Oh, it's come away nicely. So we'll lower the sump. That bracket's way over there. And there's our sump removed. Staring at us is the oil pickup. There's the oil pickup pipe. Goes up there, and that's the oil pump on the end there. And this is the balance shaft assembly here. So we'll have a look at what we've got to do. I think I'm looking for the drive, the damaged drive to the oil pump. That's what I'm hoping for. Right, so here's the balance shaft assembly and the oil pump in there. On a visual, those gears are in very good order. They drive the balance shaft, so that then in turn drives the oil pump. They seem to be in very good order. They're meshed correctly. There's no damage on them whatsoever. The oil pickup pipe, get me light, oil pickup pipe, in the goals there's no debris, there's no sludge, there's nothing. This car's had an oil change every 12 months, so I wasn't expecting much there. And then as you can see up there, we've got the lower side of the piston and the con rod. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. So that's the big end shell off the con rod, and then the con rod carries on up. Don't know if I can get the light. So the con rod carries on up to the lower side of the piston. That all seems in good order. Doesn't seem to be any damage, any white metal running out of the bearing. All in very good condition, really. So I'm gonna focus my efforts in the end of the oil pump there for the hex drive. Okay, I've taken off the wheel to gain access to the side. I've just hooked that turbo pipe up on the belt out the way, and I've just given him a wipe down the end of the oil pump. This is a drive to the oil pump. So the drive comes through here, goes down through the balance shaft, and then comes back up that other balance shaft to here, and the drive's transmitted through this hex shaft. So that's the end of the oil pump, and this is a little circlip you've got to undo. Just those two holes. My circlip pliers are too big, and they're quite small ones as it happens, and they're still too big, so I may just hook that out with a little screwdriver and then buy a new one afterwards if it gets damaged. But that's what we're doing. We're undoing that circlip to draw out the hex drive in there. It seems that it's hollow there, the shaft, so it may be threaded. We may be able to screw a bolt in and withdraw the shaft, the hex drive, with a bolt, like a puller type thing. Right, I'll try and hook out that circlip. It's starting to bore me now. I think I'm going to just destroy it out. So here's what I've been trying. I've got these, they're only cheapy ones, but I've got these circlip pliers. They are very small, but they're still, it's just not having it. I've been trying for ages and I just can't do it. So I'm gonna have to go for the old screwdriver, a bit of jiggery pokery. Yeah, just destroy him out. I'll get a new one. There he goes, he's pinged out. I've been about 20 minutes doing that, and I just pinged it out in about 10 seconds. So there's the shaft, that's what we're after. I've got a screw here, let's see whether that'll screw in. This one out of a socket, for an electrical socket, just for the... Okay, I've managed to get a screw into the end, and it is just from B&Q, and it is just the screws for your socket fronts on your electrical sockets. So B&Q or Home Depot if you're in the US. So I've got him caught. Let's see if he'll slide out now. So this is the actual drive that drives the oil pump. And that's the crunching noise. If it is this, it's the crunching noise I've ever heard. Oh yeah, he's coming out nicely. Don't know if you could see that. So here's the drive. Oh, he doesn't look damaged. Oh, he is on the other end. That's good. That's good. I wanted to see damage because then I'll actually got the fault. Yeah, so he's rounded. So he's stripped the drive of the hex. Misses his kitchen roll again. She's done a shout at me, I'll tell you, for using that kitchen roll all the time. Right, so there he is. Yes, so that is rounded. We can. That should be hexagonal all the way around. So that is my oil light problem. So it was actually getting low oil pressure. So I stopped the engine in the instant that the light come on. So I don't think I've done any internal damage to the engine. So that's it. I've got to get a new one of them. Alright, so here's the sump removed. I'm going to have to scrape off all of this gasket, the liquid gasket around the perimeter, around the flange. The flange all looks in good condition and we've had no leaks. The sump was very dry, but here's the oil in the sump. And there's no metal particles at all in there. Nothing at all, so it's an indicator that there's no damage to the engine by the drive slipping on the oil pump. So I'll give this a clean up now. Okay, so I've cleaned the inside of the sump with some brake cleaner and some rags. I'll give it a thorough clean in there. There was no metal particles within the sump or the oil that I removed. Now it just leaves me to clean up this jointing surface all the way around the outside here. I've just got a drill bit. There is sealant contained within the bolt holes here, so I just want to get that out. I'm not going to use a drill in a drill, I just want it to pop out. I just want it to pop out these little round pieces of sealant that are contained within the holes. So now we'll have a bit of the dishes pad on here. This is the sort of finish you should be looking at. You can see the machining marks from the factory. That all aids the sealant to grip in there. But you should be looking at a gasket, a jointing surface like this in order for it to be successful. That's what you're looking for. I will also give this a wash out because some debris in there now. Give it a wash out with some brake cleaner and I'll brake clean down these joint surfaces one more time. Just basic scouring pads, just basic dishes stuff, you know, so that's all we're using to clean up that jointed face. Don't use sandpaper on this job. It's aluminium, it's soft aluminium. The sandpaper, you will ruin the joint surface and probably won't be able to get a seal in the future. So only use lightweight stuff on aluminium like this. Just clean up, spend more time doing it. Right, let's give it a wash out. Okay, so here we have the worn drive. I think you can see those corners are quite nicely rounded off. And here's our new part, ready to fit. The difference between the new part and the old part that I can see, the old part has got a hollow center that we use to get it out, that we put the screw in. Hollow center each end, which would make it weak. And the new one is a solid bar. It's basically an Allen key, so he's solid. I have measured it with the vernier. Very, very slight differences. We're talking like 0.3 of a mil difference in external diameter to the new one. So I think the only modification that Volkswagen have made is they made it a solid bar, not a hollow bar. Here, for your information, is the Volkswagen part number, and it's this one here. That's the one you're interested in, that 03G. I also got a new circlip because the other one pinged off when I removed it with my screwdriver. So I think this item, oh, I've got the prices. So the hex bar was £6 and the new circlip was 82p. The total including VAT was £8.35. So not an expensive repair really. Right, let's get on to fit it back in and move on with this job. Right, let's replace the drive. So here's the new one. Genuine part from Volkswagen. Solid shaft. And it is literally, push them in there. If I spin this now, we may be able to see out the oil pickup over here. Let me reach. There's the oil pickup there. If I spin him, we should be able to see some oil coming out from there. Watch. It's just in the picture. Yeah. There. See the oil coming out at the bottom of the screen? So the oil pump works. So all we do is slide this shaft in. We may have to rotate it to align it with the balance shaft assembly. So we give it a spin, a little wiggle. There, I think he's in line there. I'll give him a little bit of jiggery pokery with my screwdriver. And there he is. He's in the hole. That is it. So now I've got to try and get this circlip on. Try and get him in with my screwdriver without it pinging off across the garage floor. I think maybe I should have bought a couple of these, not just the one. He's nearly in. I just got to snap that last one in there. And then make sure he's pushed out to the outsides of the recess that he sits in. So give him a push there. And give him a push there. So I think, make sure he's in that groove. Yes. And then we'll just flare him apart. Yeah, so he's fully in there. Yeah. Right, I'm happy that that's secure. So now we'll get to cleaning up this sump surface, getting rid of all this sealant. There's a load of it everywhere. Right, we'll do a bit of scraping up, clean up all this joint material. I'll stop the video there. I'll just carry on cleaning up myself, and it'll get boring. I'll just show you it when it's clean. Okay, so all my jointing surfaces are clean now. They're all spotless, degreased, and removal of any previous gasket material. After I scraped, I just went around with a bit of Dish's scouring pad. Something to note, this section here is the block of the engine. That's cast iron, and this timing cover on the end here, he's made out of aluminium, so be a bit more gently when you're scraping there, not to dig in the alley. So this is a sort of finish that you should be expecting: clean, flat, smooth, degreased, no oil on it. Something that's worth note, a friend of a friend told me about this before I started the job. This plastic section here, so there's threaded inserts into there. That's 2 of the sump bolts. So when you're tightening these up, do it to the correct specification. I think it's something like 15 Newton meters or 10 Newton meters. But do not cream up those, or your brass threaded inserts will strip out of that plastic section. So it's all clean all the way round. And this is the sort of finish you should be trying to achieve to ensure a long tight seal on your sump. I've been trying to clean up these bolts, and I was struggling with getting the old sealant out of the thread. If you can see there's all the sealant that's got to come out, and I wanted to degrease them. And the only way that was I could see that could easily do. Like, I've got all this stuff out already, and the silicone there, and that was to get the bolt in a drill with a wire brush. And that was the only way that I can successfully strip it out. So there we go, that's what I've been doing. It's a bit laborious, but I think the end result, I'll give it a spray with some brake cleaner, and that's my end result there. So I don't know if it's picking up because the light's falling, it's evening now. So that's what I'm ending up with there, clean threads. Now I've done it on all these. It's a bit laborious, but I think it's an essential thing for getting a good joint and alignment of the sump on refitting, because if you look at that there, that sealant on there, it's not going to end well, is it? And I'm clamping it in the drill, the chuck. By that end, that's not threaded. If you can see there, the end's not threaded, so I'm not crushing the threads. So that's what I've been doing. It's probably a good tip for if you're changing the sump, or if you're doing the oil drive on the pump. I've just checked my footage and it didn't show me putting the sealant on. For some reason the video didn't start. I've used some old sealant that I've left over from a previous job. It's just black, basically RTV. So this is from an Alpha that I've done the sump on. It's effectively sealant. So I just put a bead all the way around, circling the hose, the bolt hose. It's only a thin bead. You don't want nothing too much, because you don't want it squeezing out into the sump and causing problems blocking the oil pickup in the future. So we'll chuck this up now. All right, so we're going to lift up the sump now and just catch a couple of bolts. We've got our sealant on, so we just want to get it up there. Try not to touch anything and smear the sealant around. Right, that's squidged up quite nicely. I'll just catch a bolt just to take the load off. You can just see the sealant starting to slightly squidge out. So now all I'll do is, while that's loose, we can catch all the other bolts now. But we're not doing it, we're not going to do anything up tight. We want it all loose just to get alignment, so that we can still have a little bit of movement on the sump to catch all the bolts. Well, I've been around and nipped up around the sump. I've kept the 4 best heads in best condition to go up in those ones that are tucked away up in there. So I've kept the ones that are in the best condition for that. So because it's awkward to gain access to, and they're at an angle. So when I'm doing that one, doing these up, we're not going straight on. We're coming in at a bit of an angle on it, which is why we've got the ball-headed Allen's key. So I've kept the best ones for there to give me the best chance of getting alignment. Right, let's pop them in. And there's 4 of them. Remembering what the friend of the friend said, that the center 2 are in those brass bushes, so just be cautious to get them in line and not to strip them, because it's a world of pain if you get it wrong. I've got old eyes now. I need a light to see this type of thing. Yeah, so these are the ones that are misaligned. They are at a funny angle. So you do need this ball head. You do need that ball-headed Allen key. Okay, so that's them lightly nipped. Alright, so I've got all of my bolts around the perimeter of the sump. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to catch these side ones and give them a light nip, so that we can pull, so that we're pulling the sump while it's still loose and the sealant's not gone off. We're just going to pull it that way slightly to make sure it's mating there, just to make sure it's in the right position, so that when we do these up, we're not putting the sump under any tension. Right. We don't want it pinched there tight, and then we're trying to do these up and shear one of these tangs off if there's like a millimetre of misalignment. You may snap it off. So that's, I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but that's what I'm doing. Right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to preload this. I'm going to tighten these up, which would pull the sump across. So now we know that this sump is fully this way, and then I'll just crack them off. So they've been preloaded, and then I'll get them off to like a light nip up. All right. Okay, so they're now just on a, so they're now just lightly nipped. So I'm happy with that. So I feel that they're in the correct position that way. So now I'm happy to go around and tighten up all of my bolts there. They are 15 Newton meters. I'll go around with this one first, and then I'll go around with the torque wrench. That's it, I'll just get my torque wrench. All right, let's just get around with the torque wrench now. My torque wrench does actually go that low. I didn't expect it to. Right, so there, all of the bolts around the perimeter now are torqued up. So what I'm going to do now is properly tighten up those three bolts there on the end of the sump. We'll give them a little clout. There we go. That's your sump replaced. I've just got a little bit of a loom to do, the electrical plug, but effectively that's the job done really. Right, so we get the loom down, the electrical plug. I'll plug him in first. You just hear him snap in, and then we'll get him up in there in his little tidy. And there we have it. That is your sump replaced. We've got to put some oil in the engine now before we start it up and check for leaks. I'm going to leave this to dry. I've got the luxury of not leading this car at the moment, so I'm going to let this cure, this sealant. I'm going to let it cure for a couple of days before I put any oil in. I'll just let it properly harden off. But I don't think you do need to do that, but I'm just going to. So it'll be a couple of days now before I get back on this job. But that is effectively the job done. So that's what I've ended up with. That amount of sealant just squishing out. So I'll take it, it'll be the similar amount of sealant squishing out on the inside. I'm not sure if that's too much or not, but hey, it's done now. Something I forgot to say is got to connect up that bracket to the turbo pipe there. That's it. Let's pop some oil in it. So the next step is to fill the oil. This car takes 4 litres of 530. And that's on the 2-litre TDI engine, the Volkswagen engine, fitted to this Jeep Patriot. So we'll start smacking it in. Alright, so we'll dip the oil, see whether it needs a top up. Yeah, just a little bit more. So on this dipstick, all we're after is between that section there. That's the minimum, that's the maximum. So that's what we're after. Just dipped him, he's right on the max. And then when we run him up, it'll fill up the new oil filter that's fitted. It'll fill that up. It'll gulp a little bit and it'll take some around the engine. So we'll run it for a couple of minutes and then we'll recheck the oil. Okay, as part of the removing of the sump, we dropped the oil, we got the sump off and we changed the drive to the oil pump, the hexagonal drive. I'm just going to change the oil filter here just as a precautionary measure in case of any of the stripped parts of that drive have come off. If the filter's caught them, we'll put a new filter in while we're here. So it's going to have an oil and filter change at the same time. So we'll examine this filter. It doesn't appear to be any shiny glittery bits in there. Nothing at all from our oil pump drive letting go. Nothing at all in there that's to worry. So it appears to be okay. Right, so the engine is now full of oil. I've put the 4 litres in. I've renewed the oil filter and we've replaced the oil drive to the oil pump. So the sump's back up, it's all sealed. So we're going to fire him up for the first time and see if the oil light goes out and see whether we got any funny noises or whatever. All right, let's get on with it. Okay, no nasty noises by the sound of it, so you seem all right there. So I'll recheck the oil level, top up as required, and we'll run him up, get him warm, get him fully up to temperature, check for leaks around the sump, around the oil filter housing down here. Everything that we've touched, we now have got to get it up to temperature and check for leaks. Well, I'm not sure how clearly you can hear me down here. I've got the engine running. We're just checking for leaks. The engine is fully up to temperature. Oh, we've got a bit of flicker from the light and on the LED. There we go. So the engine is completely up to temperature. There's no leaks there. Nothing up there in them funny bolts. It's bone dry. Flip around. Be back for this. And we are bone dry there. All the way round. Not a drop of oil, so that was a nice technique. And we'll get back. There's the bone. There's the drain plug. Bone dry. And the oil temperature switch is all dry as well. So we'll call that a successful rejoint. Alright, so that's the end of the job. We replaced that drive, that hexagonal drive that drives the oil pump from the balance shaft unit. Actually, when you're in there, very easy job, just to circle it, slip them out, slip a new one in, put the circlip back. The main job really was the sump removal and the oil and filter change. So the actual oil pump job, not too bad. It got rid of our oil light, run it up, not a problem, up to temperature, it's all good. If you've had this happen to you and you're going to replace this, please ensure that you put new oil and a new filter in, because if there's any metal fragments, the filter will pick that up. So, a successful job. So if you've found it useful today, what you've seen here, and it's going to give you the confidence to tackle this job yourself, could you please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on the next video.